Good afternoon, everybody. I'm here with the continuation of the college planning series that I'm working on. I am looking at possibly putting a Facebook page together or something that is all in one area instead of my personal page. So if that's something that you like, I've gotten some feedback from you on my last post or two about this. So if that's something that you're interested in, then do leave a comment under here, and then, if I have enough interest, I'll make a new page or something like that. So today what we're going to talk about is your resume. Now, this is something that you can do in middle school before you ever become a high school student. You can have a resume. 9 times out of 10, the things on your middle school resume are going to be few, but you should have some awards and some leadership still in that. And one of the things that you need to look at is, what does a middle school resume look like versus a high school resume? So that we'll go into that in just a second when I touch on that. But let's talk about this. So your resume will be part of the documents that you will submit with your application package. So you'll go to Common App or to the college's website directly to apply, but you'll attach certain documents to your Common App, and one of them is a resume. Should be a resume attached. It's part of a holistic examination, so it's not like the end-all be-all of everything that you do in your 4 years of high school or anything like that, but you want an impressive resume. You want something like that. A high-quality one-page resume that establishes your candidacy and gives you the image that you're trying to portray. So who on paper are you on one page? What was important to you and what were your goals? You can see those things on the page once you have developed your talents and gifts, which goes back to the middle school portion of this. So that's all coming into play, right? So you're going to set goals and work hard to achieve them, and and that's going to show on your resume, just like I said. Now, middle schoolers, like I said, can have a resume. You will begin to build it as soon as you start getting into extracurricular activities, clubs. If you had a leadership role in a club, doing community service, which, like I said, you should be doing this in middle school. And basically like flexing that service muscle, because you're going to need that in the next 4 years through high school. Again, the stuff that's on your middle school resume likely won't be on your high school resume. You may want to put some really good awards and things like contests or something like that, especially, like, let's say if you were a vocalist and you're wanting a vocal scholarship at a certain music school, you would want to probably add those things in, unless they don't fit on the page, and then you go for the most current ones, right? So, but it'll show the resume will show your growth and your potential and your experiences, and that you took seriously and you were intentional. There's the word intentional again. You were intentional about your middle school years, and you just didn't figure it didn't matter. It does matter. This is a 7-year school schedule for college planning. It's not the last 2 years. It's not the last 4 years. Really, it should be the last 7. Now, if you're starting a little later, hop to it and get started and start moving along towards where you need to be. And if you need to know where that is based on grade level, I'm happy to help. So now, freshmen will start to create your resume as soon as possible. So again, you've already got the middle school resume. Okay, so you can keep your awards on there if you would like. You can even keep everything you've done in middle school, but go ahead and start adding to and build on that resume that's already been created. So if you haven't done one in middle school, just start with your freshman year, unless you had some substantial awards or something like that, and just talk about what you're doing in school. Basically, you're just going to lay out the information. We'll go over what should be on your resume in a second. Now, does your current resume suggest that you are a competitive candidate for the colleges and the future scholarships you plan to apply for? And you're like, well, I don't know because I don't know where I'm going. Well, go back to my last few videos and research the colleges that you're interested in that may have your major. If you don't know what your major is, research the colleges that you're interested in just as a whole. And then you would need to go to the common data set video. There's two videos that I did for that. Go ahead and get to those videos and see if you're competitive. Your resume should reflect the same things that are very important or important and considered by these colleges on their common data set. For instance, if you want to go to HPU and HPU considers service, and they do, very important, then you want to have service on your resume. It might need to be more than your extracurriculars because that's important and it's going to show that it was important to you. And so that way you match, you fit, right? You see how this is starting to develop and work? So if you are not a match or you don't know what that looks like I said, go back to the other videos. But if you're not a match, what new goals do you need to set to match the considerations from the common data set for your schools? So you see why this, having the time, not starting junior year, but starting freshman year at the very latest, why this gives you time to really develop your college list and make sure you're a match for the school, because there's no reason to apply for a college if you are not a match. There's just no reason whatsoever. Now, you have a limited amount of time and a limited amount of semesters to be competitive. So this is where I have a little bit of urgency for you. You know, you can still be laid back. It's not stressful in my house when we're college planning. What it is we pace it out. But at this point in your freshman year, you should be showing that you're going to be competitive for the schools and the colleges you're looking for. Scholarships will come to later, and that will be later in your planning. We're getting close to it though, so you might want to go ahead and, like I said, catch up. You'll need to submit your resume for every scholarship application and essays as well. Almost every scholarship application will want your resume attached, and they will want an essay. They don't want your Common App essay. They already have that. You need to have another essay prepared to answer any scholarship prompts. And that is where the My Story comes into play. If you go back to the My Story set of videos, there's several, you'll understand there where you're building the story about your life, and there are certain prompts of questions that I gave you in those videos that you can write about, and I'll be doing more of those, by the way, coming up. You can write about those prompts, and those answers to certain essays may already be in your My Story, and then you can just transfer them over to an essay and maybe like update them a little bit, or even tweak them a little bit grammatically or something like that, make it a little bit more interesting. Because at this, in My Story, you're just writing to yourself, basically. It's like you're telling someone else about your life, or you're writing it autobiographical. So you will also need to supply this resume that you're building to your teachers and your mentors, who you will seek letters of recommendation as well, so they can speak to your success. So when my son was going to college, was planning to go to college, he sent an email, or he handed every teacher or every person he was getting a recommendation letter from his resume, so they can look at his resume and decide and go, oh wow, yes, he was in this group, I remember these things, you know. And so they could actually speak to his involvement and his intention to service, or awards and honors and things like that. Excuse me. So you want them to be able to speak to your success, so you're going to have to submit this to them before you finish your Common App, so they can do their letters of recommendations, or at the same time that you are getting ready to complete it, because the letters of recommendation, I think, come out right after, if I remember correctly. Now, what is in your resume? Here's the nuts and bolts of your resume. You're going to have, and I'm going to use the resume that I have from our cohort program, because it's an excellent resume and it looks just like what my son did. So what is in your resume? So you're going to have your name, you're going to have your address. She doesn't have her address on this one. I'm not sure if there's a particular reason. Maybe it's because they were sharing it with us at the cohort program. But Jacob had his address, he had a phone, and his current college email. And again, you should be making a college email address for yourself. It should say something like Julia Denton 2027. If 2027 is the year that you're graduating, it should be your name, the year you're graduating, so 2027, 2030, whatever, or 2030, whatever that is, at whatever service you're using for email, like hotmail.com or something like that. It doesn't need to be an email address that says like, I love trucks at hotmail.com. It just doesn't. It needs to be something that will be consistent through all of your email communications, and it needs to be professional to a certain extent, that they and a reminder of your name and your graduation date, so they years, so they can reference back and forth. But anyway, I'm digressing. So you'll have your name, address, phone, email, your current GPA. At the top, you'll have your class rank if it's available. You'll have your employment and supervisory experiences, anything like that from your jobs. And you also want to keep a small blurb handy of your duties that you did, because you will use those likely later, and that can also come in your My Story, and you can reference back to that. But I do remember that my son had to put in all the time for these scholarships and things like that. He had to explain his experiences. You couldn't just put in a resume. They wanted you sometimes to explain what you did. So they're also going to put your service, community service, your activities and extracurriculars, and your honors and awards. That's what you're going to put down. That's what you're going to put on your resume. And it doesn't need to be fancy formatted or anything. Just keep it left justified, and then over here on the right is your dates, and try to keep your dates, as you can see, they're lined up like that. And you're doing current you're doing anything present at the top, so you're going to build from the bottom up. So that's your resume. I'm not sure what the next video is going to be. We may talk more about college research or something like that, but that should be your resume, and you should have it. You should be already, if you're a freshman, you should be building it right now. If you're in middle school, you can go ahead and build that resume. And if you are a junior, then you really need your resume really quick. So go ahead and get on that, guys. And if you have any questions, let me know. If you'd like to see a copy, or have me send you a copy of this example of resume, I'm happy to do it. It's not that easy to find a college resume that's actually for a freshman going into college. A lot of them are after they've already been in college. So if you have any questions, let me know, and I'll see you guys next time. Thanks.